Animals often get in trouble, but thankfully there are people like this in the world. Or like this. Or like this. People who help them when things get tricky. Animals can be very vulnerable, especially if they like getting stuck somewhere, falling down, or wandering into dangerous places. Today, we'll show you many heartwarming moments of animals being saved. This firefighter saved a cat when he noticed it in one of the burning apartments. Thanks to the timely help and a heart massage, the cat stayed alive and its owner was very grateful to the rescuers. This man noticed a cat that fell into a canal and couldn't get out. He decided to save the poor animal. Cats are well known to be fond of cardboard boxes, and this time, a box saved this cat's life. This puppy lost consciousness during a fire, and this firefighter brought it back to life with CPR. And here's another example of an animal trusting a human when it needs help. Isn't it adorable? These people untangled the turtle from the fishing line and released it back into the water. If only it could talk, it would definitely say thank you. This man noticed a drowning baby fox and immediately jumped into the water without even taking his clothes off.
Dog in the car!
And here, a police officer came to a dog's aid when it got stuck in a burning SUV. Take a look at the way it expressed gratitude for its savior. And these guys saw an eagle standing on the side of the road, waiting for someone to stop and give it water. And here's what a true hero looks like. Watch this man risk his own life to get an eagle out of a swamp. Thanks to these people, the baby bird thinks it's being fed by its mom. That's why it's not afraid. People heard cries for help coming from a ditch, only to find a dying puppy with head trauma. The puppy was so weak that its nose kept dropping into water. Thankfully, it was treated, and now the pup is perfectly fine. And these guys are not just railway workers. They are real heroes. They jumped off a moving train to rescue a chamois that was buried under the snow by a different passing train. And here's how they rescued a baby elephant in Zimbabwe after it got stuck in the mud after a long drought. A dog found itself in a water trap and would have drowned if it weren't for the rescue crew. Look at how obedient it is, knowing they are trying to help it. This little guy is still so young, but with a big heart. This tiny puppy had a very slim chance of survival when it was hit by a train. Thankfully, its cries were heard by people who saved its life. And this dolphin swam right up to the divers in the hopes of being freed from a fishing line. Now it's free, but check this out. It's not in any rush to swim away, thanking its savior instead. When a drowning squirrel was rescued from a swimming pool, the situation appeared hopeless. Thankfully, the rescuer knew how to perform first aid on squirrels. It's very difficult to capture a frightened deer, all the while holding on with one hand to stop you from falling. But in the end, this guy succeeded.
Ух ты, красавчик! Нихера вы красавцы!
Just listen to the heartbreaking cries of this scared, injured, and cold puppy. But when it realized that people won't harm it, the puppy settled down and calmly went to a clinic with them.
Aren't you glad you came?
What would have happened to the little dolphin if it weren't for this kind man? And here, everyone deserves praise. The person rescuing the cat and the cat who understood the assignment. This porcupine swam towards people so that they could help it get on dry land. And this person sacrificed himself to protect his dog from two American Staffordshire Terriers. This person freed a koala from the netting. But what is it doing instead of running away? Have a look at the way this dog climbs into the boat to save itself. And how about this look full of gratitude? This Pakistani kid is very poor, and to make a living he sells plastic he finds on the streets, and yet he regularly buys milk for a stray cat. Now that's what you call a quick reflex. This osprey got tangled in a fishing line, and in addition, the hook injured its right wing. But despite the pain, the bird is trying very hard to get to the boat. This mom cow was loudly calling for help because her calf fell into a hole. Thanks to its rescuer, the calf was reunited with its mother. And this koala was stuck in a tree because of a flood. It was lucky to be noticed by people in a canoe. These guys came together to rescue a baby goat. Six ducklings were crying loudly as they fell through a storm drain. Getting them out wasn't easy, but the rescue team succeeded.
Don't be silly. Stop it.
The baby swan was stuck in the fence, but its mother had nothing to worry about. It was in good hands.
Come on, look. Come on, he's coming with you. Come on, there's a good boy. There's a good boy. Come on. Come on. There he is, look. Go on.
The leg of this horse got stuck in the fence wire, and it's hard to say how long it would have stayed there if humans didn't come to its rescue. Fortunately, it wasn't injured, and after a while, it was able to run again. This diver caught a fish, but a hungry shark stole it for itself. Unfortunately, it bit off more than it could chew. And as a result, the diver had to help the shark. What other option did she have? Of course, dolphins can survive for a little while without water, but they need help to avoid dying if they are beached. And so, many thanks to this person. And this monkey realized that humans are its only chance, and it was right.
Segura. Dá licença, Marcelo. Calma, calma, vai. Que animal.
Mouth open and say,
Want me to
A pelican voluntarily came up to people walking on the beach. Turns out it has a triple hook stuck in its beak. Thankfully, they managed to extract it. When people build roads, they never think of the animals. And here are the consequences. This baby moose was entirely covered in asphalt. A rescue team came to its aid to clear off the moose's fur. This person got a baby monkey out from underneath the ruins and returned it to its mom. Just look at her reaction. This kangaroo fell into a canal during high tide. And take a look at how desperately the animal is begging humans for help. Now that the kangaroo is all right, it can run away, but its gaze speaks volumes. On his 21st birthday, the snowboarder decided to take a ride on fresh snow. His plans changed when he came across a horse stuck in the snow. What a day! Took a snowboard ride and rescued a horse that was reunited with its owners 4 days later. This guy heard a desperate cry from a ditch and realized that there's a living being in the bag. Turns out someone was very cruel to a grown cat. Thankfully, this story has a happy ending. That's the condition the puppy was in when people found it. But wait till you see what it looks like today. Beautiful antlers can turn into a big problem, just as it happened to this deer. Thankfully, people didn't leave it in trouble. A cat nearly became a victim of a python, but the fearless locals saved it, and they were really risking their lives. These fishermen noticed that a baby whale tangled in a net approached their boat. They freed the poor animal and pulled the netting out of the water. If only we had more people acting like that. This poor elk got so stuck in a snowed-in swamp, it couldn't move at all. When it was freed, it immediately ran to its friend, who waited patiently the whole time. What could this look mean?
Будет жить нормально все. Давайте, ребята.
This sloth must have confused some cables for tree branches and was in real danger as a result. Risking his own life, this man tried to help the sloth, and it's obediently doing everything required. And this fox cub was loudly crying after getting stuck in some netting. At first, it was very frightened, but then realized that people were there to rescue it. Just take a look at such trust between an animal and a human. Do you think this guy is in search of crude oil? Nope, just rescuing a goat. And here's an incredible rescue of a deer that walked onto the ice and had frostbite on its feet, preventing the animal from getting back to safety. Finally, the saviors managed to free the deer, now faced with the difficult task of warming the animal back up. But the most incredible thing about it is how the deer is not at all afraid of the human. Instead, it is grateful. To pull a cow out of a well, people had to use a huge tractor, and they succeeded too. How could they not? When a dog fell under the ice, it was a matter of minutes before the animal couldn't be rescued due to cold water. With great difficulty, the men managed to get the dog, and it quickly understood what to do. People noticed a deer standing on the side of the road begging for help. Its face was crushed with ice to the point the animal couldn't even open its eyes. When people approached the deer, it didn't even try to run. And that was a good call. Now the deer is safe and sound. A moose got stuck on a railway and people organized an entire rescue mission. In the end, the animal was saved and delivered back to the woods. But it doesn't look like it's in a rush. Almost like it's trying to say thank you. And here's what a removal of the rhinoceros horn looks like to deter poachers who kill these animals for their horns. They are made of keratin, just like human nails, which means they keep growing back. As for the noise, the animal is wearing headphones, so it's not too scared. Can someone explain to me how this cow's head got stuck in the tree? It was definitely very lucky that there was a person nearby. A bear got stuck on a power pole and survived by some miracle, thanks to the fact the help arrived just in time.
All right, little bear, time to get off this pole.
And this elk came to people with the head of its opponent stuck to its antlers. Unfortunately, the operator was powerless.
If the bucket had filled with water.
And this fearless man jumped into the icy waters to rescue a deer with a bucket on its head. A little while later, his friend came with a boat and they started to act. And finally...
Now you can see. It was great seeing her run off.
In Samsun, a seagull got caught on a fishing hook attached to the electric cables. Within 7 hours, the bird was rescued. But even after its liberation, it kept going back, pecking its saviors. This guy saved a drowning sparrow, but he didn't expect the bird to get so attached to its savior that it would sit on his head.
See you later, buddy.
This horse was stuck in the fast river and couldn't move. Rescuers had to use a helicopter to carefully transport the horse to safety. In India, a baby leopard got into a huge well. It was rescued using a large net. Once it was back on dry land, the wet kitten ran away to its mom.
Look at him.
A tiny baby possum got stuck in the stream and was rescued by 3 people who then decided to have it as their pet.
Oh, he's got me.
This guy found a seagull tangled in the fishing line and decided to save it despite the bird's attempts to fend him off. A couple of swift movements and the bird is safe.
Be a lot easier if I had 2 hands, mate. Just make sure that's all the fishing line and he's free to go.
Garbage often brings harm to wild animals. This duck got stuck in a plastic ring and lost the ability to feed. A woman noticed the poor bird and cut the ring off. Military action hurts animals just as much as it does people. Look at these cats, rescued and fed by this bearded dude that came to Irpin. A girl took care of this sparrow from the day it hatched. A bird with a deformed beak would struggle to grow up in the wild. Thankfully, this sparrow is safe now. A whale was beached on one of the shores in Brazil. The animal spent almost 20 hours on dry land while people worked hard to get it back into the water. Not every person will be brave enough to rescue animals from the war zone, getting them out of their enclosures that are under fire. Thanks to courageous people like this guy, kangaroos are safe. This guy found a butterfly lost in a pipe and used his tape measure to rescue the insect. Original, but effective.
Well, here we go with the chronicles of a trash man.
The driver of the garbage truck discovered kittens among the trash and got them out. Sometimes animals need to be saved from other people.
Yep, here we go again. Oh, come here. Oh, Jesus Christ. There's another one. Hold on. Stay in there. There you go. Stay in there. Let's see if there's any more.
These guys are trying to help a whale that got tangled in a fishing net. This operation takes a lot of time and patience, but their persistence is admirable, which is what saved this whale's life. For this dog that nearly drowned in a canal, a person became a saving grace. The guy grabbed the dog with his legs to pull it out of the water.
Oi!
Even sharks need help sometimes. This guy noticed a small beached shark and returned it into the water. And here are Ukrainian firefighters saving a cat from a house damaged by a military missile. Just look how carefully the firefighter gets the animal out. The pet is safe and sound, and even after a shock like that.
Тепер котик п'є воду.
This fox got stuck in the fence and couldn't move until a man noticed and saved her.
Oh, my boy, that was lucky, wasn't he? Oh, that's a fella. Oh, my boy. You have got stuck. Let's have a look at you.
But that was a lucky escape, because that would have died before much longer if he got stuck like that.
A sheriff's deputy races to a car fire.
This police officer ran to rescue a dog from a burning vehicle without a second thought.
And tosses Hank into the snow.
Look how grateful the animal is for being rescued. This cobra got its head stuck in a metal can, and despite the danger of this venomous snake, men helped the cobra and moved it to a place that was safer for other people. A baby fox got its head stuck in a can and was desperately crying for help. Thankfully, the cub was rescued, and now it is safe. Saving animals from people is hard work. This horse was severely malnourished, but thankfully there were compassionate people who saved it. And this tiger got its head stuck in a box, but managed to get out of the trap all on its own. Even ripped the box to pieces for frightening it. And this is an incredible show of friendship between a dog and an elephant. Check out how adorable they look playing in the water. A small wild bird was hiding out from the 113-degree Australian heat in a car with people. And even once it felt better, the bird was not in any rush to leave its saviors. Oh, these pesky little ducklings. Their mom had a very stressful afternoon. But at least this story has a happy ending. And this hedgehog was dehydrated and sick. I think we should all carry water with us exactly for such occasions. During low tide, this sea turtle got stranded on the shore upside down, but it was very lucky to be found by these guys because high tide wasn't due for another few weeks. The foot of a fox got stuck in the football net, and it took real effort to free it. Thankfully, there were no injuries and the cub was able to return to its mom without any problems. The burrow of this raccoon collapsed and it was trapped. Thankfully, 2 teenage brothers noticed it and managed to dig the animal out with their dad's help. In search for food, 4 puppies got stuck in spilled tar. They couldn't move at all, but they still managed to cry for help. To clean the tar off their fur, people had to use oil and dishwashing fluid. And here's what they look like now. This 6-day-old elephant was abandoned by the herd due to illness, but the locals saved it. Look how grateful the animal is to them. A man noticed an injured puppy in the road, and look how happy the mom was to get some help. Fortunately, they are both okay now. These people came together to take this thing off the animal's head. Think about the risk they were taking. It's a good thing they managed to run off afterwards. Otherwise, they'd be the ones who needed help. And to rescue this seagull stuck in the power lines, they needed a whole helicopter. A cat with a broken leg came to the hospital to get a cast. This baby deer got stuck in a fence and loudly cried due to the resulting pain. Thankfully, people heard the animal and came to its aid.
Oh.
These people helped a pigeon that fell down their chimney. They released the bird, but notice how it's not in any rush to fly away. It only goes once it's had a chance to say goodbye. Take a look at the way people rescue dogs during a flood in India. And here's an example of a great way to use a remote-controlled car. This turtle was in trouble being so far away from the water, but thankfully this guy was there to help. And this leopard could never get out of this deep well if it weren't for the people that came to its aid. This guy is taking care of a dog like it's his dear friend. Firefighters got this pit bull out of a burning house, and it took a lot of effort to bring it back to life.
Ну чего, будем жить-то? А?
Чувствуйся.
And here, people saved a baby tamarin and returned it to its mother. A few fox cubs made a home under this woman's desk. When one of them had its head stuck into a jar, it came to her for help. An entire village gathered to help a wounded elephant. First, they pulled it out of the water with great effort. Then it was time to heal the animal. This person held a drip bag for several hours, and their efforts were not in vain. This eagle asked for some water on a hot day. How could you say no?
Смотри, какой хороший.
This pony was born with only 3 legs, and now it's walking for the first time in its life, thanks to the person who made a prosthetic for the pony. Great job all around. Everyone did their part. The dog swimming towards the people, the man risking his life, and the people that stopped him from falling in. The antlers of these 2 deer were locked together, and the poor animals were on the brink of death. Just imagine how difficult it was to separate the animals using a chainsaw without hurting them. But it ended well. This little hungry bear cub was left without a mother, so it came to people for help. This person walked into the icy lake to rescue a deer and bring it to dry land. This bird was so weak when it was found that it couldn't eat. Thankfully, a volunteer by the name of Dimbadu Babu brought it back to life, nursed it back to health, and released it back to nature. In the zoo, the meat to feed the lions was brought to them in barrels. One time, at feeding time, this lion's head got stuck. Fortunately, the animal patiently waited for the vet who was able to help. That's the state this dog was found in. Just look at the clumped up fur full of parasites. It took several hours to shave it off. And here's what it looks like now, thanks to kind, compassionate people. People found a newborn dolphin and basically brought it back to life. Trouble might find animals on land, in water, or even in the sky. And often they come to humans for help, showing a lot of trust. Watch this video until the end and you'll be amazed. These people found a bound and hidden turtle and immediately went into rescue mode, bringing it back to life.
No, it's just trying to lift. Okay.
Okay.
Off you go.
Go on. Go on.
Good job. Oh.
To save this elephant, a whole excavator was involved. And here's a display of the elephant's gratitude. This fox cub got stuck in a wheel, and the vest had to work really hard to help it.
Speed.
Go on, God for that. You draw half.
This giraffe got into trouble, but fortunately it ended well.
He's alive. He's alive. He's going. We just saved him. Yes.
Set it free using a pair of scissors. This baby squirrel got so attached to the humans that it didn't want to leave when these guys tried to release it outdoors. At some point, it disappeared into the green foliage, but immediately came back, right into the pocket of its new friend. So these guys decided to take it home, where they constructed a hutch with a wheel and an obstacle course. They kept the baby squirrel until the following spring. Tadeusz Lubiasz from Poland was walking his dogs when he felt something fall down. It was a tiny squirrel the size of shoelace. Fearing that it might not survive, Lubiasz nursed it back to health, feeding it goat milk through a pipette. Now they are inseparable. A leopard was searching for water in the parched desert state of Rajasthan, India. It was so thirsty, its head got stuck in a metal pot. That's the state it was in when people found it. Amazingly, the wild predator is not panicking or trying to run off. Instead, it is patiently waiting to be helped. Forest officials managed to remove the pot by temporarily tranquilizing the animal. This man is deftly climbing up a lamppost to save a pigeon that got caught on a streetlight. This story happened on the Sakhalin Island. 4 orcas got trapped in glaciers, 2 of them in almost entirely inaccessible spots. The ice tightens, wounding them, while they cry, begging for help. For rescuers, divers, and volunteers, the goal is to push the giant chunks of ice away with long poles. To prevent the orcas from getting ice burns, they are watered with seawater. At the same time, the animals keep periodically turning onto their backs and putting themselves at risk of choking. That's why the rescue team try to establish contact. They are speaking to the whales, cheering them on and keeping them calm. In this footage, you can see the wounded 6-meter animal obediently fulfilling people's requests. It doesn't show any aggression and allows people to do all the necessary things for it to be rescued. After the medical treatment, it quickly recovered and followed the others into sea. Particular raccoon was unlucky, but he did get rescued in the end. Crossing the road must be very difficult when you're a family of ducks.
Oh, get your baby! Get your baby! Oh, help him! Yay! Thank you!
Thank you to this guy and the other drivers who stopped to let them through.
Everywhere. I hate spuds. Okay, come on.
After falling into a pool, the flying fox had no other options but to trust a human.
Don't you even think about biting me.
And this person is helping a cat, risking his own hands in the process. The animal was saved and the man also was taken care of. Just imagine how scared this bobcat is after getting stuck in a trap. But the man didn't want to harm it. In fact, he was trying to help. In the end, the animal stops and looks back at him. What might that mean? And here's another similar case.
All right, you're about to have him.
Okay.
He's all yours, man. Let me get out of the way. He'll stay right there for 10 minutes. Flip him out of that circle.
Every time this guy takes his boat out, a goose he saved many years ago flies by his side, and later she introduces him to her gosling. And this penguin escaped a herd of angry orcas by jumping into a tourist boat. And this homeless dog with a leg injury came to a vet clinic all by itself. This cutie spent a long time trying to get out of a can. Check it out.
Oh, look at that. Poor Pogler, that was nasty, wasn't it, eh? Yeah.
It's completely unafraid of the person who rescued it. Due to an electric shock, this monkey lost consciousness and fell onto the train tracks. And watch what happens. For over 20 minutes, a crow called Don was seriously damaged due to an injury. He got a second chance when people made him a new acrylic beak. This poor thing's wing was stuck in a blackberry bush, which caused it to almost drown. People took the owl to a sanctuary, and after a week and a half of rehabilitation, the bird is as good as new. And this hippo is completely unafraid to open his mouth to let the human brush his teeth. It looks like he might even like it. The most predatory animals appreciate kindness too, even if it's a venomous snake. And here, people are delivering cows from the mountain ridges to the comfortable alpine meadows. Photographer Martin LeMay captured some images of an unusual animal friendship where a weasel was riding on the back of a woodpecker. Just look at the way this baby squirrel eats a banana. This dolphin got stuck in the shallow riverbed 3 miles away from the nearest sea. It is on the brink of death, since dirty stagnant water is not a suitable habitat. You can hear the dolphin make a distinctive whistle in hopes of someone hearing it. Thankfully, a human is nearby and he rushes to the rescue. People resuscitate the injured animal using whatever they can find, and later it is returned to its native element. That's just one of many cases when animals ask humans for help. If you watch until the end, you'll see how smart, far-sighted, and trusting animals can be. Forest fires that happened in Australia in 2019 to 2020 are said to be the most destructive in the written history. They caused terrible danger to the Australian wildlife. Thousands of livestock animals and millions of wild animals were killed and injured. Many people made an effort to help the affected animals. For example, this woman is washing a kangaroo's burned hands. The little animal is not trying to escape and even allows the human to stroke it. And if it could, it would probably hug the woman in response. The white blotch approaching the shore is a pair of swans. They got tangled with one another and they understand that without the human's help, they are doomed. So when they spot the passers-by, they swim right towards them. The swans' wings and necks are in a disarray and require a lot of effort and precision in order to not cause any damage. But now these proud birds can spread their wings. And now you see a deer that also needs help. It's stranded on a frozen lake in Pennsylvania. It looks like it went too far, slipped, and could no longer get up. A hunter couldn't stand to see it suffer. He tried to save the animal by using a rope. Once the rope is attached, he towed the deer to the shore. This baby sloth's name is Guanabana, and in this footage he is doing fine. However, not long ago this baby was in huge danger. After low tide, he got stuck between two rocks and he could have died during the next tide. The baby sloth was crying loudly and calling for help. His cries for help were heard by a man named Dirk. He rescued the animal, drove him home, and later took him to an animal rescue center. This desperate incident happened in the Indian town of Karwar, where a king cobra showed up on the outskirts. This snake is from the Elapidae family and is the longest venomous snake on the planet. When it gets into a human body, the venom paralyzes the muscles, causing contractions and eventual paralysis of the respiratory system. Only 7 milliliters of this venom can kill a person in 15 minutes. The cobra is patient but very aggressive. At the same time, it's as afraid of people as people are of it. So, what made this cobra come to humans? At the time, India was going through a drought. People realized that the snake is not planning to attack, it needs help. They called the zoologists that determined its poor state and measured the length, 3.65 meters. And, pay attention, they let the snake drink right from the bottle. After that, they took it to the woods and it was safely released. Not once did it display any aggression. This wild elephant was in so much pain it went right up to the wildlife doctors to get help. How the animal knew they would help is a mystery. Doctors hit the elephant named Pretty Boy with a tranquilizer dart. And when he was down, removed the bullet stuck in its head that, luckily, didn't penetrate the skull. Grateful to get the bullet out and some pain relief, Pretty Boy then took a nap on a tree. This dog hasn't eaten anything in 5 days and was hiding behind the dumpsters, and when people finally managed to get the dog, they saw it was covered in thousands of mites. This chain was broken. It appears that the dog ran away from the owners who let it get this bad. Kind women brought the dog to a clinic where it took several hours to remove the parasites. The dog also had an injection that would help get rid of mites. Afterwards, this good girl was taken home where the battle continued. The authors of the video named the dog Jessie, and they hope that she has a long and happy life ahead of her. And now check out another case. This nursing mother is in doubt. Should she ask for help from the humans? But after some time, she decides she can trust them. She led the people to her hungry pups who had no chance of survival without their help. Initially, the mother was acting protective over her babies, so the rescuers distracted her with food. The puppies were finally saved. And now they all have a new home. Squirrels are very cheeky animals, especially when it comes to nuts. Just look at this squirrel grabbing his food. And this little squirrel paid several visits to the back door of the author of this video. Once it figured out it can get some peanuts from there. And although it was acting cautious at first, later in the video, the squirrel's fear is replaced by enthusiasm. And this is Chito, a Costa Rican fisherman. He's famous for saving a croc named Pocho over 30 years ago when the latter was dying from a bullet wound. Pocho only weighed 150 pounds at the time, and as Chito treated him and fed him chickens and fish, the crocodile grew to 1,000 pounds. The crocodile ended up living with the man. 10 years later, Pocho taught Chito these tricks. And this man carefully gave water to a monkey which was suffering in the scorching heat and came to him for assistance. Later, they were joined by the monkey's friend, who didn't go unnoticed either. In China, cat sterilization levels are very low, which often causes people to abandon kittens. These people saw someone throw away a litter of kittens into a river. Hearing a cat crying for help, they rushed over to look for the source of the sound and found the only kitten that managed to survive. People brought the exhausted and hungry baby cat home and named him Peach. And this old man risked everything to save his beloved cat from their burning home. This story has a happy ending though. The authorities found housing for the pensioner and they both settled in their new home. There is no life without water. When they are thirsty, animals seek help from humans, breaking down all stereotypes. Even if the animal in question is a venomous snake or a tiny baby bird. Just look at the way this carp asks a person for food, and it's not afraid to take the food straight from their hands. And this little homeless kitten loudly cried for help. When he was heard by humans, it was given a second chance at life. This lonely little fox also put its trust in people, knowing that it wouldn't survive without them. Just look at these touching moments when the fox approaches a person begging for help. And here's what happens after a while. And this brown bear got in big trouble, having fallen into a well. People heard its pleas for help and lowered a ladder. Just watch how masterly it makes its way up to the top. It's no surprise that the scientists concluded that bears' mental capabilities are much higher than that of other animals, and sometimes their behavior resembles human behavior. And this is a retired bricklayer and his best friend, a penguin. 10 years ago, the man found it fully covered in oil and nursed it back to health. After this rescue, the penguin returns to its friend's house every year and stays in the backyard while the other penguins of its species are mating.
Oh my God!
And this sea turtle almost fell prey to a tiger shark when it saw a fishing boat and desperately tried to get closer to it. The turtle understands there's its salvation. And it was right. The fisherman waited for the shark to loosen its grip, just long enough for them to make their move. Did you know that the rhinoceros horn is worth more than cocaine or diamonds? That's why these poor animals die en masse at the hands of poachers. Thankfully, there are people who hear the cries for help and do what they can to get the rhinos out of trouble. For example, these people saved 4 suffering animals by giving them medicines and regularly changing their bandages.
Look, up in the sky! It's a bird!
It's a plane!
It's a rhino. But what is it doing in the sky? Turns out that's how wildlife conservationists transport 15 rare black rhinos from Eastern Cape to a reserve in South Africa in order to expand their diminishing population. Because of the poachers, there are only 5,000 black rhinos left in the world. And this abandoned yet friendly puppy met some kind people and followed them home. Today, it got lucky. People let it into the house, where it found a wonderful new family. And this dog fell into a beaver lodge and was crying for help. The rescue team spent over 2 hours to dig out Lucky. This goose was found with a broken beak, most likely as a result of a wild dog attack. The goose couldn't eat, became underweight, and so it put its trust in doctors and 3D designers who created a beak prosthesis for it. This adorable little parrot also lost its beak, but humans gave him a second chance by creating a plastic prosthetic. And this toucan bird lost its original beak after some monsters beat it up with sticks. But thankfully, there were kind people that donated thousands of dollars to make a beak prosthetic for this bird. This is exactly what happened when a shark got tangled up in a fishing net. The shark came so close to a boat with humans that it was obviously looking for someone to help it. The shark even waited patiently for the humans to free it. Once the rope was removed, the shark starts to swim away and wags its tail at the humans as if saying thanks.
Bye-bye. Wow, happy da. Wow, happy da.
This shark, with a 12-inch knife in its head, sought help from a diving instructor. Take a look. The shark turns around and positions itself right in front of the instructor, asking for help. The irony of the situation is that this nurse shark was wounded by a human. There was no other way it could have just got injured with a knife. Thankfully, the diver managed to extract the blade from the shark's head. He even got to see it again and learn that the shark is fully recovered. Perhaps it came back to the same spot to thank its savior. Let's not forget that water can be a dangerous environment for non-aquatic animals too. The tiny dot you see approaching the boat is a squirrel. It's trying to escape its predators, sea eagles, crows, and seagulls. And just like the shark, this squirrel is seeking help from humans. Notice how it's desperately trying to get into the boat, almost as if it knows that people will do no harm. Wet but adorable nonetheless, this creature is showing no resistance when the fisherman picks it up. The squirrel even waves goodbye with its tail, we can only assume as a thank you. Alpha predators approach humans for help sometimes as well, like this wolf with a gaping wound on its head. Normally, it would avoid humans, but now, lonely, weak, and hungry, it cannot hunt for food. Wolves can sense their prey almost 2 miles away due to their advanced sense of smell, and this wolf detected the smell of a freshly baked bun in a woman's pocket. The sheer determination the wolf is displaying as it leaves the woods and approaches the woman, this account is as inspiring as it is shocking. The wolf takes the food from a human, carefully and repeatedly, making sure not to hurt their unexpected ally. There's no way that's a coincidence. It draws us a picture of the animal's thought process. Observation: the human is not acting in an aggressive way, followed by a conclusion: I can trust the human. And even a risk assessment: I would rather avoid contact, but I have no choice but to seek help. The ability to assess the situation in such a manner shows that the wolves have the potential to think rationally. It might not be what we expected from a wolf, but a recent experiment conducted by Austrian scholars proved that wolves are, in fact, more observant and savvy than domesticated dogs. And how about this sperm whale? It is clearly signaling to a diver that it needs help, and is more than accommodating while the human is trying to remove the fishing hook stuck in the whale's mouth. Look at this striking footage. It turns out, in case of emergency, even animals want to visit a dentist, and they can say, "Ah," just as well as people. That's yet another proof that animals are not only intelligent, they also have the ability to empathize. Once the sperm whale is set free, it's in no rush to leave. In fact, it's so keen to express its gratitude to the diver as he strokes the whale like a puppy. Watch this sea resident make its way towards a diver as if they are best buddies. You can almost hear the turtle saying, "Hey dude, I have a shell stuck in my back. Do me a favor and remove it, eh?" And the human is only happy to oblige. Communication is key, and let's not forget about gratitude. The way the turtle tilts its head, that's definitely how they say thanks in turtle. Sometimes the trust has to be earned. The author of this video interacted with the fox for over a year by feeding it. However, one day the fox refused to eat. Instead, it grabbed the food and signaled the human to follow it. The fox clearly has a plan. Notice the way it keeps stopping to check if the human is still walking along. And what do we find at the final destination? Turns out this fox had recently become a mom and brought the human to meet the babies. Leading the person to the living quarters was a genius move. Now the fox can stay to protect the young, and the human can deliver the food right to them. This fox, however, is much more independent. It is clearly not planning to ask for help. Instead, the fox is trying to get to these fishermen's food supply. Amazingly, it doesn't run away when the owner of the bag appears. It just waits patiently, and check this out. The fox is not only helping itself to the food, it is taking it right from the human's hand. Such behavior can be explained by the fact that hunting for mice is more difficult when the ground is frozen. This beautiful beast must be very hungry. In the previous clip, we saw a fox eating quality meat, yet this one is happy to munch on a sausage. Who knows? Maybe it's now the fox's favorite dish. Waiter, I'll have what they're having. Sometimes fishermen catch something much bigger than fish. These 3 bear cubs were crossing the river and unfortunately got separated from their mom and started drowning. Humans to the rescue! All that's left to do for the mama bear is to pick up her cubs where the fishermen left them. Residents of Argentina spotted 7 orcas stranded on land, which could have resulted in their death. Now imagine how hard it would be to move an animal weighing over 4 tons, but they managed. Look at the state of this homeless puppy at the time it was found. It was taken into a home and cared for, and this is what the dog looks like 2 years later. The fishermen noticed something struggling in the water, and when they got closer, it turned out to be a young deer desperately swimming toward the boat in hopes of receiving help. It clearly found the right people for that. An example of the way garbage thrown in the sea harms marine life. A turtle got lucky that these guys noticed its suffering and helped the poor animal.
Yeah, I think he understands. See ya, big fella.
An orangutan fell down in the water and began to drown, but the zookeeper immediately followed the animal into the water, pulled it out, and administered first aid. It's hard to say what would have happened to this fox if it weren't for the man with a shovel. The eagle was all set to have an octopus for breakfast, but this was clearly a bad idea. Thankfully, people noticed the commotion right in time and managed to free the bird from the tentacles. A tamandua confused an electricity pole with a tree branch and nearly died as a result, but the electricians rescued it with a pole before anything drastic happened. This puppy didn't even understand how much danger it was in when it was wrapped by a king cobra. A person risked his life by removing the snake with his bare hands, but fortunately, no one was hurt, including the cobra. 2 elephants were searching for water in a dried-up dam in Kenya and got stuck in mud instead. Several dozen people came to their rescue. Even a helicopter was involved. This operation took several hours when finally... This cyclist found a hedgehog in the woods that was unconscious due to severe dehydration. The man proceeded to revive the poor animal with his tea. An opossum crawled to the side of the road in hopes of getting some help. And it was a good call. This woman took care of the animal and brought it to a clinic. Just listen at the heart-wrenching cries of the kitten that got trapped in a pipe.
Hi, baby.
People heard its desperate plea for help and got the animal out. And here was a rescue of a rabbit that nearly died due to dehydration. This girl helped a heron that was stuck in the mud. She brought it home, and once the bird was feeling better, she released it, and then the heron came back. And this orca was beached on the coast of the Baltic Sea, and it was patiently waiting while people were trying to think of a plan to rescue it. In the end, the rescue crew wrapped some ropes around the animal and pulled it to a depth where it felt more comfortable. This girl heard a little bird calling to her. Turns out, this was a parakeet with a broken foot. She brought the bird home and nursed it back to health. Take a look. It's not afraid of people. Quite the contrary. A pool became a real trial for this chipmunk. Thankfully, the help arrived just in time.
It's okay. Shh. Okay.
The police helped a pelican that was tangled in a fishing line, including the fishing hook.
Good, Officer Pierce, at Eckerd College, marine biologist, and the pelican's gonna live another day.
A kind person had bought out an elephant that had been enslaved for the past 30 years, having worked in logging and touristic camps. When the animal was brought to the side of the road, it got down on its knees, thinking that this was its new master and that it had to transport him somewhere. But now, the elephant is truly free. These girls pulled a bird nest out of the water and were astonished to find 2 tiny baby birds inside. Naturally, they had to take on the role of the new mom. A very complex and dangerous operation by freeing a rattlesnake from a net. but this guy was well prepared. People witnessed a moose falling through the ice, and the animal was exhausted after its endless attempts to climb back out. At first, they tried to pull the moose out on their own, but in the end, they had to call a special rescue crew that could help the animal. This bird feeder had an ant infestation, and one of them was holding a hummingbird by the beak. Thankfully, people came to its rescue right in time. This girl noticed a wounded dog on the other side of the river. Despite being exhausted and in pain, the dog was still wagging its tail, knowing that this was its last chance of salvation. The girl brought the dog home with her and made sure it was well taken care of. This seagull had a plan to eat the fish, but didn't expect that the fish would puff up inside the bird's throat. The latter was lucky that the passerby noticed what was happening and came to its aid. The rescue team went to Kangaroo Island to help koalas that suffered due to the wildfires. To free the bull, these people brought an excavator and dug a huge hole. This guy found a pigeon that was unwell due to the heat, and he brought the bird home to nurse it back to health. Many animals fell victim to a flood and a breach of the dam in Ukraine, but thankfully a large number of them were rescued thanks to people like this man. These guys found a sable in the woods, caught in a trap, and look at the way it acts once it's freed, as if it doesn't even want to leave. And here a drowning cow is voluntarily swimming towards a boat, knowing that this is its way to salvation. And this bunny was saved at a very critical moment. And these are the lengths that these guys went to in order to rescue baby owls that fell out of their nest. This woman picked up a sick raccoon and nursed it back to health. Just listen at the way it thanks her.
That he was going to be okay.
A dolphin got washed up during Hurricane Ian, and these guys were among a few people who stayed on the island and managed to return the animal back to its natural habitat. It was a real miracle that this person spotted a baby mole in trouble. At least now it's safe. While some people litter, harming nature, others help, just like this person who removed a plastic bottle from an Arctic fox. A fisherman stumbled upon a monkey in the water. It was really tangled in the netting and could barely move. He immediately jumped into action, trying to free the poor animal and give it something to eat. The way the monkey looks at him speaks volumes. After earthquakes in Turkey and Syria, people formed search parties to aid and rescue animals, and here is one such rescue of a cat. Many animals suffered when a dam was breached in Ukraine, and things could have ended very badly for this dog. Just notice the hope with which it looks at the person who didn't abandon it, and instead brought it onto the boat and took it to safety. This kitten is being picked up to the sound of explosions in the background. And here is yet another Ukrainian story with a happy ending. A stingray found itself on dry land after a storm. Luckily, it was found by a kind person. This guy found a dog that was so famished it could barely stand. He started feeding it every single day and later took it to a clinic and ensured the dog is better. Watch how much better the dog looks a few weeks later. And this person is risking their life to free the birds stuck in the electricity cables. This poor camel's back legs were all tangled up. What would have happened if it weren't for this kind man? These guys wanted to free the crocodile that was stuck in concrete and nearly got into trouble themselves when a second croc attacked them. This wild cheetah is no different than a domestic cat when it was asking for food, apart from the fact that it was ever so slightly bigger. It's a good thing people came up with a way to rescue a horse that fell into a well. A bear cub was looking for food in a barrel, but instead stumbled into some trouble. People took the risk to help the animal out, and it was a success. People found a pony that could not walk due to overgrown hooves. First, they had to trim them, and then the pony had to be taught how to walk and run. On top of that, it took a whole year for the animal to learn to trust people again. And here is a rescue of an old, wounded tiger. This bald eagle failed to fly away during a high tide and started to drown. It was very lucky to have a boat nearby with people willing to help. They managed to pull the bird out of water, and while the eagle was very nervous at first, after a few minutes it calmed down and was just chilling in the man's arms. Thankfully, the bird did not have any serious injuries and was released to freedom the next day. A sperm whale swam up to a diver of its own volition, and the latter helped the animal remove a fishing hook that was stuck in its mouth. Once it was done, the whale did not leave straight away, showing something like gratitude for the help. Imagine the surprise of this married couple when a penguin climbed into their kayak. Turns out it was injured and needed some help. This man is rescuing his dog left on a sailboat during Hurricane Ian, reaching 40 miles per hour. Tourists noticed a dolphin stuck in shallow water, so they release it back to the open sea. This guy is risking his life to help a dog that fell out of a window and was basically trapped on an AC unit. Take a look. The dog clearly understands what to do. Thankfully, this story had a happy ending. This blind camel was wandering through the desert in search of water for a long time, and this man came up with a way to give it water by luring the animal near a large bowl using sounds of water. This Ukrainian soldier risked his life to evacuate a hamster left in a village that was hit with missiles. This is why we need traffic police. This man freed an owl tangled up in a net. The bird's expression really conveys how happy it is. These people in Iceland rescued young puffins that came down from the mountains in search of food and couldn't fly back. The locals managed to capture them, take them to the mountains, and release them.
closer to get you.
A cat got stuck in a small crack between two walls and was begging for help. They had to break down one of the walls to get the poor animal out.
Okay, here we go. Video, here we go.
So happy.
The firefighters pulled 5 puppies out of a burning factory, but the animals were unconscious. They needed a heart massage and some cold water to come back to life, and their mother was able to see her babies safe and sound. This duck ended up under the ice, but thankfully a person came to its rescue right in time. It took the entire village to pull an elephant calf out of a well. They even got an excavator. People decided to dig a tunnel so that the animal could climb out of its trap, and they even treated the elephant's wound. And finally, compassionate people called police to save a dog that was left in a locked car in a 90-degree heat. The animal spent several hours in the car and was close to death, but the police came right in time, giving the dog first aid and then taking it to a clinic. People heard a small blinded kitten crying and decided to help. They cleaned its eyes, gave it medicine, fed the poor animal, and made sure it was warm. Now look at it a few days later. Proper care makes a huge difference. This sugar glider got stuck on the barbed wire. Even though the little guy was fighting and biting, this person was able to help the animal and even treat its wounds.
Go, mate. Go.
And here boys are rescuing a dog from a huge snake, risking their own life in the process. Just imagine the force with which the snake squeezes its prey. Frankly, I am amazed how calm the dog was. Clearly, it trusted its saviors, and that trust pays off. Look at the state these 5 donkeys were in due to being exposed to the elements. Fortunately, people quickly saw them and came to their aid. Thanks to them, the animals are safe. These firefighters saved 150 piglets from a burning farm. Just look at this insane height! But that won't stop this guy from moving the bird's nest to a safe space. A duck nearly fell prey to a python. But as luck would have it, people came to the bird's aid and left the python without dinner. This armadillo must have been very thirsty. This is its 2nd bottle of water. A foal was in trouble when it got stuck in a tree. It's a good thing that people found it and set it free. This puppy was found in a landfill, inside a tied plastic bag, and it was in very bad shape, literally on the brink of death. But in just a week, it transformed to this, all thanks to a person's kindness.
Oh, sweetie.
This dog came to people with a snake wrapped around its snout, and the man put himself at risk to help the poor animal. But thankfully, this ended well for everyone.
Thank you so much.
I'm glad it wasn't a rattlesnake.
Oh my god.
When a girl noticed this cat in the forest, it was frightened and looked really rough. Nonetheless, the cat let her move it from its hiding place. It took over 2 months to bring the animal back to life, but this is what it looks like now. This bear cub had a paw stuck in a tree, and its sibling stayed right there, even trying to chew through the branch. Thankfully, a rescue team came right in time. Two young elephants got really stuck in a drying reservoir after coming there to drink some water. Just look how much effort it took to get the animals out. And finally, This newborn zebra already got into trouble. It got into the water and started to drown. Thankfully, it happened when there were people close by, so they managed to pull it out of the water almost straight away.
Bravo, bravo.
And this guinea pig was rescued from a demolished building by a Ukrainian rescue squad after missile attacks. This parrot was born with a defect affecting its legs and feet. It couldn't walk or stand, but thanks to this guy's support and regular training sessions he developed specifically for his bird, their team found success. This coyote fell into the water and was begging for help with its eyes. People wrapped a rope around it, brought it aboard, delivered it to dry land, and had to struggle through untying the rope before the animal could be set free.
There you go.
Tourists spotted the small dolphin stranded in an estuary and released it back into the sea. And this is a rescue mission, removing a lizard from set concrete. It's a painstaking job, but at least the animal was all right in the end.
This is a grey kangaroo.
This baby kangaroo got caught in a fence and people helped the animal free its foot. And this is how it thanked them.
Off he goes. Hey, mate, hey, hey.
This pigeon nearly drowned during a flood and risked approaching a human to save itself from water. When you've lost all hope and accepted your fate, but then someone comes to your aid. This puppy lost consciousness during a fire, and this firefighter brought it back to life with CPR. During a wedding, one of the guests saw that a dog needed help, so he came to the animal's aid. Later, he was joined by another person, and finally, the dog was saved. Looks like this wedding had an extra +1 added to the guest list. And this girl sacrificed a pipe to free a bird.
Oh my God.
And here's another example of an animal trusting a human when it needs help. Isn't it adorable? These people untangled the turtle from the fishing line and released it back into the water. If only it could talk, it would definitely say thank you. This man noticed a drowning baby fox and immediately jumped into the water without even taking his clothes off. And sometimes even the tiniest creatures need help.
Get him on the boat.
These guys caught a huge turtle that was tangled in netting with sharp branches. They freed the animal and released it back into the water.
Oh yeah, look at him go.
A raccoon had its head firmly stuck under the dumpster, and it took a lot of time and effort to get it out of there.
Why didn't you burrito her with a towel?
Thank you for showing me.
The goat mom beckoned a person to come in order to rescue her kids from a hole.
Come here, baby. here, baby. Come here, baby.
Okay, it's a beautiful crab, but look at this barnacle right here.
These fishermen found a crab with a barnacle attached to its mouth and helped the animal get rid of the uninvited guest. They even gave the crab some fish.
You know how we roll?
This guy noticed a strange bag in the river. When he opened it up, he learned that this was a result of someone being extremely cruel. The puppy was barely breathing, but thankfully they managed to bring the poor animal back to life, and now it's safe and sound. This guy is helping a snake that tried to climb through a hole that turned out to be too small for it. These firefighters pulled a cat out of a burning house, and now the rescue team is trying to bring it back to life using an oxygen mask. This man decided to free the wolf even though the animal tried to bite him several times. But at least it looks like the wolf felt bad once it was rescued. A young elephant fell into a drain, and people couldn't figure out how they could help. Even an excavator couldn't manage it. Then they decided to break the concrete around the drain using hammers and chisels, and they finally succeeded. Turns out the baby elephant broke its leg, so it was taken to a rehabilitation center to heal and be released later. This baby monkey was crying for help when it got tangled in a net. It took a long time and effort to untangle the animal without injuring it, while the baby's mother waited nearby. And now they can finally be reunited. A pregnant goat got stuck in the middle of a cliff, and the rescue squad is trying to catch it with a net, when suddenly... Thankfully, people were ready for such a situation. The goat landed into the net, and both she and her baby were saved. A man noticed a small goldfinch in the street. The bird couldn't move because its feathers were covered in ice. The man brought the goldfinch home, where he warmed the bird back up and released it. This orangutan fell into a moat when it was trying to reach the food thrown by the zoo visitors. A zookeeper heroically dove after the animal and was eventually able to get the orangutan to dry land and give it first aid. A black mamba slithered under the hood of the car when it was trying to escape people throwing rocks at it. But this fearless guy got the snake out and released it back to freedom the very next day. And this person barely managed to pull the sheep out. And then... Thank you to this kind man who gave water to a hedgehog dying from thirst. This bear's head got stuck in a fuel can, and it took 10 pairs of hands to take it off. Now, the most important part is to quickly run away. This tiny dog was following people and begging for help. Its back legs weren't moving, most likely due to being hit by a car. After an examination, it was clear the dog will never walk properly again. But people still kept the puppy, caring for it and letting it heal. And this is what it looks like now. This person helped a bird get its beak out of a tree, and it looks like the bird is very surprised by the way it's looking around. And here is a rescue of a manatee cub that couldn't properly breathe underwater. Now it lives in a rehabilitation center where it's being observed by specialists.
saw a distressed plover hanging around a drain.
A grown plover bird was loudly asking for help because one of its babies fell into the drain. This girl pulled it out, dried it in her car, and returned it to its mother safe and sound.
Starting to look a little bit more lively now. Come over to your baby. Reunited at last.
Watch me rescue a horseshoe crab.
I wonder if this clam realized the kind of trouble it was in. Nonetheless, thanks to a human, it was saved. Due to a drop in water level, this frozen lake turned into an ice trap for turtles. After a few hours of work with a chainsaw, the rescuers managed to free 40 turtles, which were subsequently taken to a vet clinic and administered first aid. These people sacrificed their tiles to rescue their cat after it accidentally climbed into the pipe vents behind the wall and got stuck.
Not real sure what Buddy has stuck in his beak.
This man was on a fishing trip with his kids when he noticed the bird that had something stuck in its beak. Interestingly, the bird did not fight back at all. Well, almost.
Got you good, didn't he?
He's definitely feeling a lot better.
And this iguana got caught in a wire fence, which left it hanging upside down. First, it had to be removed from the fence, and then the remaining wire that wrapped around the animal's body, neck, and feet had to be cut off. A 2-year-old foal named Xena was in a terrible state when she was found, completely exhausted to the point it could not stand up. This gave her a second chance. And this guy saved a hawk from drowning. In exchange, the bird was happy to pose for a photo with him. This bull fell into a water tank, and the rescue required heavy machinery. In Turkey, a cat voluntarily came to a hospital to get help for its broken leg. It remained remarkably calm during x-rays and a cast application. Funnily enough, when it got better, it stayed nearby. And this person rescued a tortoise from an army of leeches using lime juice. It doesn't harm the tortoise, but it's great for repelling leeches. And here, a Ukrainian soldier is pulling a puppy from a hole it fell into. Now that's what I call teamwork. And this fearless man risked his life to save a cobra that climbed into a motorcycle engine. Insects also approach people for help. Look at this praying mantis. It's not even scared.
Here you go. Here you go. Just run that way. This way.
This guy trying to explain to a deer how to get off the highway. And he succeeded.
Atta boy, jump over.
Well, almost. Now he did.
Yes! Oh, live on another day.
These fishermen accidentally caught a 400-pound ray, so they called a team of professionals to save it. First, they found a place best suited for releasing this giant, did some tests, and finally... This baby goat was loudly crying because its head was stuck in a wheel. Thankfully, people didn't just stand by. This sheep was stuck in a fence and was thrashing uncontrollably, trying to break free. Look how quickly it calmed down when it realized this guy was there to help.
Come on, Mike.
The police officers saved these ducklings that fell into the drain and returned these babies to their mother. This dog came to people for help, hoping they would take the plastic off the animal's head. Look how grateful it is. These divers noticed a large turtle heading their way. Someone must have been very cruel, plunging a spear into the animal's neck. Thankfully, this story has a happy ending. This guy found a dog hiding in an abandoned van from the cold. It was negative 59 degrees Fahrenheit. Turns out, someone shot it in the leg, and the bullet fractured the bone. The guy who found the dog brought it with him and nursed it back to health. And here, mountain bikers called a wildlife biologist to rescue a foal stuck in a mud pit.
Goodbye.
This cat was hopelessly trying to climb out of the water. It was very lucky that there were people passing by at that very moment. And this very attentive girl helped a hermit crab find a new home. Helping a deer is noble but dangerous. Thankfully, it didn't get stuck again immediately after being freed. This pig nearly drowned during Hurricane Ian, but the rescue team got there just in time. This poor deer was stuck in the silt. Thank goodness humans invented excavators. This bird swallowed an entire plastic bottle and would have been dead if it weren't for this person who managed to extract it. Yet another argument against using plastic. This man found a gecko stuck to packaging tape and very gently freed the reptile. This bald eagle accidentally kicked its eaglet out of the nest as it was leaving. Thankfully, it was caught on camera by researchers who immediately set off to rescue the baby bird. This cow must have wanted to sit in the chair, but didn't quite know how to properly use one.
Oh, perfect.
Just look how high this man had to climb to rescue a cat stuck in a pine tree next to him. First, he tried tying the trees together, but that wasn't effective. In the end, he managed to pull in close enough to grab the cat. If it weren't for this kind woman, the cow would still be standing there waiting to cross. This Ukrainian man is on the mission to clean up a local river, and while he's doing that, he also managed to rescue a duck tangled in netting. These people found a fox that was killing their chickens, and despite all of its crimes, they felt bad for the animal, so they released it back into the wild.
Hey, Akela, привет!
This wolf asked a trucker for food, and the man wasn't afraid to feed the wild animal practically by hand.
So I want to show you, we took that mold last time.
These guys really wanted to help a duck without a leg, so they made a special prosthetic using 3D printing technology. Moment of truth.
Oh man, it's aligned properly. You just got to put it down. Come on, you can do it.
A bear cub was trapped in a barbed wire for 8 hours as it tightened around its front paw. Trying to free itself, the bear was scratching and biting the wires. It was spotted by local farmers who called the rescue team, which then managed to untangle the animal and administer first aid treatment. Divers rescued a 30-ton humpback whale that got trapped in an illegal fishing net. People from all over the world came together to rescue starving lions from an animal park in Sudan after an activist named Osman Salih posted photos of emancipated lions on Facebook. Due to the living conditions in Sudan, there were not enough resources to feed the animals, and the lions haven't eaten for several weeks. The activists delivered food right to their cages. Just look at how thirsty this bear is. A wounded leopard came to a Chinese village in search of food. The locals captured it and took it to an animal park for treatment. And this rhino had its head stuck in a bucket, probably the clumsiest rhino in the world. Let's just pretend that this leopard was trying to ask for directions to the nearest village. When you trust a person, but then they crack your neck. An incredible moment of releasing birds back into the wild. This guy picked an efficient, if not very safe way to move the camels from the road. This guy just needs a way to earn quarters, and then it'll be fully independent. A parrot is keeping the kittens warm in its nest. Have you ever seen anything more adorable? And here's a rescue of a cat that went for a walk on a ledge 10 stories off the ground. And that's what being prepared looks like. And this is how they pulled out a cow that fell into the manhole. It wasn't a smooth ride at first, but the second attempt was more successful. Police officers from Peru brought several units together and created a human chain to pull a dog out of the river. A duckling fainted in front of this guy, but he didn't back down and brought the bird back to life. Have you ever heard a hare screaming? This one was loudly crying for help, and it got lucky. This female goose lost her beak as a result of a dog attack and couldn't eat properly. It took 6 weeks of treatment, 3 surgeries, a 3D printer, and kind hands. Now she has a new beak, even better than the last one. A guy found this frog floating belly up in the pool because it was unconscious, and he brought the little guy back to life with a heart massage. I've never imagined this was possible. This dog's leash got caught in the elevator that started to move. By a complete miracle, the dog was safe thanks to this guy's swift reflexes. A sparrow lost consciousness due to extreme heat and dehydration. It was lying in the middle of a busy street when it was lucky to be found by a kind and compassionate person. A dog saw a passerby and was insistent that the person should follow. Turns out her puppies fell into a drain and couldn't get out without help. A bald eagle named Beauty lost its beak to the poachers, but kind people created a new beak for the bird using 3D printing technology. They used the same method to help another bird, a large toucan at the Zoo Avenue Rescue Center in San Jose. And this cutie got help from passers-by. A leopard in India accidentally fell into a water tank, but people helped the animal get out using a net. To the cat's credit, it immediately understood what to do. A mischievous panda fell down a bank, but receiving a helping hand from the zookeepers, and it's officially the most adorable thing I've seen today. Take a look at this puppy's mom begging people for help for her baby. Due to the severity of its wounds, they had to take the puppy with them for a few days to help it heal. And this is one of those moments when an animal is practically trying to get into a situation where it will need help from a human. This German Shepherd was standing on the fence, tangled in barbed wire and practically begging for help. Many people just drove past it, but thankfully there were caring and compassionate people who stopped to help the dog. This fox couldn't get out of the hole, and thankfully a man lowered a rope down to help the animal. It's a good thing that this fox was savvy enough to quickly realize how to get out. This story deserves its own animated film about Bambi's adventures. This baby deer was rescued from a fast-flowing river by several people who risked their own life to save the animal. Did you know how much a regular elastic band can damage a shell? Thank goodness this turtle was freed, and hopefully it will have an easier life going forward. In India, a donkey fell into a septic tank at a construction site. After being stuck in the sewage for 24 hours, the animal was very grateful to be rescued. To save this German Shepherd from the river, several men, including people from a rescue squad, tried to get it out. After many failed attempts, the dog was finally saved and returned to its owner. This dog fell under the ice and had no way to save itself. Thankfully, the rescue team got there in time, holding the dog out of the water. Now, all it has to do is dry off and warm up. Sometimes the tide throws sea turtles onto dry land, and if they are upside down, they cannot flip over and get back into the water. This guy found a giant turtle on the shore and saved it by turning it the right way up. And here, a Ukrainian rescue squad is working hard to dig a puppy from under the rubble. A bit of persistence and human's best friend is saved.
Спасибо хлопчикам, що швидко, оперативно все зробили.
In the Philippines, two divers noticed a huge manta ray with a fishing line cutting through its wing. These guys removed the fishing line from the devilfish, and we hope that the wing will heal soon. This guy spotted a turtle in the middle of the road and saved it from being crushed, taking it to a safe place afterwards. The owner forgot to close the window, and the neighbor had to save the poor pet that got stuck in the gap. Dogs are like children. You have to keep a close eye on them. A dolphin was beached, and as if that weren't bad enough, it was tangled in a net. Fortunately, the animal was quickly freed and returned into the water. You don't have to save the world to be a hero. You can just save a cat that got stuck in the window, just like this downstairs neighbor with a long stick. Using an excavator, this guy rescued 3 ducks that were stuck in the mud. This person helped a deer whose antlers were stuck in the edges of the pier. Just look at the scared but grateful eyes of the animal. This dog had a seizure, so the dog's owner supported the animal with her kindness. The dog is now fine.
He's still up there. Is he still alive?
It's hard to say how long this heron was hanging on its own beak, fighting for its life. But now it's saved thanks to a kind fisherman who managed to free the bird using his fishing rod.
Let's see.
A man saved a monkey from a pack of dogs, but it stopped breathing because of an injury. He swooped in with a heart massage and a mouth-to-mouth. And here's an incredible moment of a kitten being rescued a second before death. Just listen to the cries of this poor dog. It was hungry and scared, but it entrusted its life to caring people who took the dog to a shelter and brought it back to life. And here's another example of placing 100% trust in people. A 60,000-pound humped whale was stranded on the shore, and take a look at the way people united to help it. An eagle found itself in an ice trap 100 feet from the nearest land after a polar vortex. It was very lucky to be noticed by people. They brought the eagle closer to land where it could find solace. Due to a foot condition, this penguin was struggling to walk, and kind doctors rid the poor animal of pain by performing a surgery and creating custom shoes for her. A bear cub got caught in a trap and was crying in pain. Hearing its pleas for help, forestry workers came to free the animal, despite its attempts to attack them. It's not clear how the kitten got stuck there, but thankfully it was found and freed with great care. Wildlife conservationists pulled a Navarre wolf out of an icy river. In addition to its limbs being numb from cold, it was exhausted and famished, and 35 bullets were found in its body. It was immediately administered first aid, then taken to a clinic, and only 2 weeks later it could finally get back on its feet. And this is what a wheelchair for dogs looks like. Just how many animals get a second chance thanks to this invention? This moose was so parched, it overcame its fear and approached people, drinking directly from their hands. Firefighters managed to pull the horse from a ditch only on a second try. It's not surprising considering it weighed over a ton.
Without those wheels, he wouldn't be able to move as easy.
This baby turtle was born with a severe deformity. Its back legs were twisted 180 degrees. It couldn't move, but a medical salesman and big fan of turtles, Randy Betts, came up with a solution. This woman rescued a lion named Jupiter from a circus after his mother died due to animal abuse. Not uncommon for a circus. Jupiter spent some time in her sanctuary before he was taken away. Being separated from his caretaker, the lion lost hundreds of pounds, putting his life in danger. After a long battle, Jupiter was finally returned to his mother and could begin the recovery process. Would you dare to share a drink with this snake?
She was trying to flap to get to safety.
This guy spotted a bald eagle just in time, saving it from drowning.
She did bite me when she got in the boat pretty good. Happy because we know that she'll be out there.
That's all for today. Comment below to tell us which moment stuck with you the most, and don't forget to subscribe.